Hi, I am Tom Clifford of H.C. Miller.
I am Sara Jeffers with Red Shoes PR.
And for today's Red Shoes Speak, we want to talk a little bit about some controversy that's been in the news lately.
Yes.
Some people, big, huge companies who are actually hiring agencies to handle their social media.
Yes.
And it hasn't gone well.
Sticky situations.
Very sticky situation. Why don't
Yes.
you tell us about Chrysler one?
The Chrysler one, if you haven't heard, this was happened late spring, early summer.
Yeah, early this year.
And there was a tweet that went out, and we won't get too specific.
There's a cuss word in there.
There's a cuss word. But it says, I find it ironic that Detroit is known as the Motor City, and yet no one knows how to beep drive.
And, I mean, it's one thing to have your opinion, but when you're putting that opinion under a multi-billion-dollar corporation, I mean, how many people saw that? And it got tweeted and retweeted. You know, all the motor magazines saw it, cars did it. I mean, holy Toledo. Well, they went ballistic. What happened?
Well, needless to say, their agency got canned.
Right on the spot. I think, didn't somebody lose their job?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lost their job.
And this wasn't an intern. This was someone higher up at the agency tweeting this. And also, I think it's good to be said here that they immediately took it off Twitter.
Oh, yeah, they took it off Twitter,
but
apologized.
A little too late, right?
Well,
it was retweeted.
I guess the $1 million question is almost a second later is too late. I mean, because once it hit social media, I mean, and we've had previous discussions with Lisa about, you know, what you post on Facebook stays on Facebook, and even though you say, oh, I took it down, not really true.
Right.
I mean, it brings us up. There was an issue in Salt Lake City where somebody at a news station made a comment, and that went ballistic. Mm-hmm. And then most recently, a company called Redner Group loses its biggest client over a single tweet.
Oh. And again.
Oh, yeah, this is fresh. This is fresh.
Yes.
New Duke Nukem game coming out. Big shoot 'em up kind of game, and they gave some pre-release copies to some people. And
get some reviews.
And apparently the reviews weren't all that great.
No.
Not all that great. So somebody, and probably probably the heat of passion, just said, "Man, this is my baby. I don't want this to happen." But he made a comment. He says, "Too many went too far with their reviews." And then he says it's something based on today's Venom. So he was really hot and heavy, and clearly the makers of Duke Nukem, which I don't even know.
It's like a
2K.
2K.
Wow, that's easy enough.
Right. 2K was not happy with their agencies.
Not thrilled at all, and that relationship ended.
Ended immediately after the tweet. After one tweet.
So it's kind of amazing, and it even goes back, as we learned in our social media event up in Green Bay, about that gentleman who got the job at Cisco.
Right.
In San Francisco, who said, and it's called the fatty tweet, said, I'm going to be, I don't know if I'm going to if I'd rather have a fatty paycheck or have to work with somebody. And I think that's the gist of it. Yeah. But basically, his new boss was following him on Twitter and said, oh, don't bother.
Don't even bother showing up.
One tweet can cause so much turmoil.
It was finished before it started. And it's so good to remember that tweets, I mean, anything you put on online, social media, it's written in permanent marker. It'll be there forever.
I've always said in all my engagements, and I even tell the kids, if you don't want grandma to see it, don't post it.
Right.
Especially
when your paycheck depends on it even.
Oh man, just some real bad calls, and certainly these are all lessons learned, but it's easy to see, you're just kind of fun, la 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 la, oh, that didn't go well.
Right.
And it's easy to see that, oh, well, I didn't mean it that way. Bam. Yeah. I guess it doesn't make any difference. And while we're even talking about this, you think about, as a big company, when you invite somebody and engage someone to be your voice, you really got to put, you have to do this. There's got to be a lot of setup in that. You don't just give them the keys to your Twitter account, say, tweet for us. How do you want that to be? How do you brand it? How's your voice? And that's something that you guys work with, and you talk with your customers.
Absolutely. And I think just talking about this specific story that was recent that we were talking about with the video games, I feel so bad for the agency, the other employees and team members of the agency. They lost their biggest client.
One spoiled it for everybody.
Right. What does that mean for the agency's future?
Bad news. Totally bad news. And we certainly don't wish any ill will to these agencies. We just want to use them as examples of quality, what not to do.
Amen.
So what do you think about tweeting and about the corporate policy and about should one tweet really be the legacy for these three cases. Kind of is, but is that the way it is? Pound Red Shoes Speak to be part of the conversation. I'm Tom Clifford.
I'm Sarah Jeffers.